organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
$5 million, that's one Iowa City resident's annual income. Find out who next.
And just days after the fire that left UI freshman dorms damaged, students are speaking out.
Coming up in sports, head coach Kirk Ferentz gets back to work with his 8-0 squad before hitting the road to Indiana.
All that and more coming up.
Daily Iowan TV starts now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Cole Johnson.
And I'm Nikki Crossway.
Thousands of cities across the nation held elections for city council spots Tuesday, including Iowa City. 3 incumbents and 5 others are competing in the intense race. The candidates trying for the 2 at-large seats are Tim Conroy, Rockne Cole, Michelle Payne, and Jim Throgmorton, Pauline Taylor, Rick Dobbins, and John Thomas and Scott McDonough are competing for the 2 district seats. Voting was held from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. Daily Iowan TV will keep you updated with the results when they are released.
A Nebraska meat supplier is recalling 167,000 pounds of beef products that may be contaminated with E. coli. All American Meats Incorporated, located in Omaha, ships millions of pounds of beef products to retailers around the country. A portion of meat that came from their facility tested positive for E. coli on October 30th. The U.S. Department of Agriculture issued the recall for ground beef produced or near October 16th and sold to retailers with a November 3rd sell-by date.
The number of E. coli cases in the Pacific Northwest that may be linked to Chipotle has risen to 37, health officials said Tuesday. Chipotle said over the weekend it was shutting down nearly 50 stores in Oregon and Washington after officials announced people may have contracted the bacteria from eating their food. Officials in Washington said that the number of cases had risen from 19 to 25. 9 were hospitalized. In Oregon, officials said the number of cases linked to eating at Chipotle had risen from 3 to 12. In response, Chipotle said Sunday it was temporarily closing all of its restaurants in the area.
Several theories have been brought up about what caused a Russian airplane to crash Saturday, killing all 224 people on board. U.S. officials just learned that an explosion was detected by a satellite before the plane crashed. Initially, ISIS claimed responsibility for that crash. However, after further investigation, the possibility of the plane being hit by a missile has been ruled out. Officials believe the most likely explanation for the crash is an explosion on board or a technical problem with the plane. Investigations from several different countries, including Russia, Egypt, France, and Germany, and possibly the United States, have begun since various parts of the planes were manufactured in each country.
While it has been a few days since a fire broke out in the early morning on Saturday in Slater Residence Hall, the damages are continuing to affect students in the hall. Daily Iowan TV reporter Andrew Roberts has more.
In the early hours of the morning on Saturday, October 31st, a fire started here in Slater Hall. While thankfully the fire was contained to one room on the 9th floor and no one was injured, a statement released by the UI Strategic Communications Department stated that there was significant water damage on several floors of the building, which raises the question of what the university is doing to accommodate students affected by this incident. At nearly 1:30 a.m., the fire broke out on the 9th floor of Slater Hall, calling for an evacuation of the entire building. Residents were asked to step into neighboring halls for several hours. The fire itself didn't spread, but the water dispensed from the building's sprinkler systems did.
So a lot of that water went down, spread out on the floor, and then went down to the floors below. And so there was a lot of water cleanup and damage from the water to student belongings.
Many students wondered if they would be reimbursed for their damaged belongings.
So the university sent out an email, and it basically said that unless anything was university property that got damaged, we would have to pay for it. So like textbooks and like our rugs, which both got damaged and things like that, we'd have to see if our insurance covered it. Otherwise, we would just have to pay for it ourselves.
Students like Carson and Claire are upset to have to take care of the financial side of things themselves, especially without being given an explanation.
No one has really told us the cause or like what exactly happened, which is kind of frustrating.
While students and faculty work to return to normalcy in Slater Hall, many questions still remained unanswered. Reporting from Slater Hall, I'm Andrew Roberts for Daily Iowan TV.
The Voxman Music Building that's being built on the corner of Burlington and Clinton Street is over halfway done. David Gear, the director of the School of Music, gave a virtual tour of the building to about 30 people Monday afternoon. Gear expects the $150 million project to be completed and up and running in August. Speaking of August, it still feels like fall out, Cole.
I don't know about you, Nikki, but I'm actually a little upset about it. I'm looking forward to some snow. I don't think that's in the forecast, but only one way to find out is to send it over to the weather studio. Andrew, what do you have for us?
Thanks, guys. I have to say, I really thought last week would be the real start to fall, and as the past 2 days have shown, I couldn't have been more wrong. Taking a look at tomorrow's forecast, expect an average morning with temps in the low 50s and partly cloudy skies, so a sweatshirt may be necessary, but as we move into the day, the sunshine and warm weather we've been seeing this entire week will continue, so dress appropriately. Temps will be in the upper 60 to low 70 range, and to close out your day tomorrow, the temp will most likely not be dropping, but if so, it will be slight and the skies will remain clear during the evening. Looking at your forecast for the next 6 days, Thursday, have a raincoat or umbrella with you as we will be having a 50% chance of rain. Yet even so, temperatures will still be relatively warm for November in Iowa, which brings us to Friday. We will see a drop in the temperature to a high of 54 degrees, but thankfully the sun will be back out to accompany the cooler weather. Expect the weather to be the same from Friday on out until the start of your week on Monday. That's all I have for you in the weather studio. Back to you at the desk.
One University of Iowa professor has finally hit the jackpot with a grant from NASA. Daily Iowan TV's Kelsey Stanger has more.
At Van Allen Hall, Philip Carrot has received a $3.7 million research grant from NASA to explore the possibility of missing mass existing in halos of hot gas surrounding galaxies like the Milky Way. The first data suggesting galaxies having these giant halos was discovered by the Hubble Space Telescope in 1995. With the grant, Carrot, alongside with undergrad and graduate students, will create a cube satellite that will use 3 small X-ray detectors to map the distribution of hot gases associated with our galaxy.
If we knew how much gas was there, it would influence our understanding of like how the galaxy formed. And another thing that it does directly is we have their satellite galaxies called the Magellanic Clouds and a bunch of others, and they actually orbit around our own galaxy. And if there is all this hot gas there, those galaxies are actually being stripped apart as they move through it.
The project will last a total of 4 years and will launch with a rocket in 2018. The CUBE satellite will orbit in the lower atmosphere for 528 days with a total of 16 full orbits of Earth a day. Carrot says this won't only be a great project for all knowledge gain, but the perfect research project for students to get into for their time at the university.
We get some new science from this project, and then future missions can kind of build on that. It's really all building on prior stuff, so hopefully we find new science that hasn't been done, and the next students behind us will make that obsolete as well.
If their theory is correct, they will have solved the missing matter problem for the Milky Way galaxy.
An Iowa city clerk has been charged with theft after funneling $11,000 from one small town's bank. A report released today showed multiple withdrawals from the City of Defiance Bank from March 12, 2013 to April 30th of 2015. The state auditor's office said Kristen Wagner was using the funds to buy personal items and pay some bills. Wagner has pled not guilty. Her trial is scheduled to begin January 12th.
The state salary database released this week shows University of Iowa coaches, doctors, and hospital administrators are again Iowa's highest paid state employees. More than $20 million, a good chunk of the state's $33.2 billion payroll, was paid last year to 16 employees who work within about a square mile of each other on Iowa City's west side. Topping the list, head football coach Kirk Ferentz with an annual salary of $3.95 million. Right behind Ferentz was Fred Hoiberg, Iowa State University's former basketball coach, and ISU head football coach, Coach Paul Rhodes. More than 60,000 full-time and part-time employees worked for the state in 2015. The average statewide salary for public employees last year was $49,000, with men making $5,000 a year more than women. Now, Nikki, with the Hawkeyes still winning, I bet Kirk Ferentz is going to get a raise next year.
Oh, I bet if he leads the team in an undefeated season, he deserves a raise.
Well, let's send it over to Zach Mackey in the sports studio to tell us all about Hawkeye athletics. Zach?
Thanks, Cole and Nikki. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee released its first rankings today on Tuesday night. We will have more on that on Wednesday's show, but ESPN anchor Chris Hassel, who actually graduated from St. Ambrose University about 60 miles east on Interstate 80, tweeted this out Monday. It states that a college football expert told him that she thinks Iowa might be the biggest surprise of Tuesday night's rankings. A good or bad surprise? Who knows? But head coach Kirk Ferentz could care less about the rankings, as he has expressed that multiple times. But Taylor Brooks met up with the head coach this afternoon to check in on how the Hawks are feeling going into Week 10.
The month of October is over, and the Iowa football team is looking ahead to a long November stretch of Big Ten play. But it all starts at Indiana on Saturday. The Hoosiers are 0-4 in Big Ten play, but despite their record, they have taken high-caliber teams to the very end.
All you have to do is look at them in the Big Ten right now. They played Ohio State in their opening game and finished with 1st and goal down on the 6-yard line with the chance to tie the game, score and tie the game. Came up a little bit short there, but that was one heck of a football game. And then most recently, before their bye, had it was 28-26 with Michigan State.
On the injury front, running back Jordan Canzeri is making progress, as well as right tackle Ike Bodiger. But Kirk Ferentz is adamant that they won't be seeing playing time this week. But LaShawn Daniels Jr. is back at the front of the depth chart. We
caught a break getting LaShawn back, and I thought LaShawn looked like the way we had hoped, last Saturday. So that was one of the positives of the game, certainly. And the other good news is, and it's kind of true of all of our injury situations, at least we've had guys step up and do a nice job.
As for the defense, Coach Ferentz views it as how they are playing as a whole.
I think if you talk about our defense, and probably our whole football team, but certainly our defense, that's really what we are right now. We got a bunch of guys that play really well together, and the collection of the parts is probably more impressive than any one individual. But that's the beauty of football.
Meet us right back here on Daily Iowan TV on our Thursday edition of Pregame, where we look more in depth at the offensive line and how they have gotten through the injuries, plus the inexperience of younger players. Zach, back to you.
Thanks, Taylor. Now, there is one Iowa team that is already done for the year. The Iowa soccer squad faced a few challenges this season with a younger team and less experienced players. Soccer reporter Katie Reber tells us about one upperclassman who took the lead.
Very athletic, good pace, high competitor.
These are just a few adjectives to describe Iowa soccer's Amanda Lulick. Perhaps most importantly, Lulick is a leader on this young team.
When I was a freshman, I had two really good leaders in the back, Mel and Katie Brown. And I think having them my first 2 years really just taught me a lot about how to deal with younger players and how to deal with a team that likes to just we get frantic, and I learned a lot from them, and now being able to step up and see that I can make a difference on the team and that others look up to me too. It's a really cool feeling for me as well that I can be that role model for others.
Lulick leads by example with her competitive drive.
I've been a great competitor, especially the last 3-4 weeks for us, and specifically with how young we are.
However, at the end of the day, Amanda is a supportive leader and leads with her heart first.
A lot of times, I know me personally still, if you make a mistake, you get really frantic and you're just oh my gosh, I need to do better next time. So a lot of times it's just relax, take a breath, get the next one. We're here for you, we're supporting you through it. You're gonna be fine.
I think the other part is, everyone just wants to do well, for her, and she wants everybody's best, has everybody's best interests in mind because she's so caring and just a great leader for our team.
Despite a losing record this season, Lulick and the other leaders on the team have kept the team's energy up.
I think a lot of it is for us upperclassmen to stay positive and to keep our energy up personally. It rubs off on everyone else, and if they can look to their leaders and look to the older girls and see they're still in it, they still got the energy, then they're gonna be I can too, we can do this.
This has been Katie Reber, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Despite ending the season 1-9-1 in conference play and 7-10-1 overall, this team took the season as a learning experience and has a positive outlook on the future. And that will do it for myself, Taylor, and Katie on this Tuesday night. But check us out on Wednesday, where the Iowa track and field team gets serious about their off-season preparations. Cole and Nikki, back to you.
Hunger Game enthusiasts were excited to hear a theme park would be coming to Dubai in 2016, but that isn't the only place. The dystopian world is also coming to the U.S. Another park will be coming to Atlanta. Attractions will include a recreation of District 12, where Katniss grew up, a real-life version of Pita's Bakery, costume characters, and a capital-esque roller coaster. The park is set to be open in 2019.
Well, Cole, I'm a huge fan of that.
I was just gonna say that. I love the Hunger Games, and that's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Sunday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Nikki Crossway.
And I'm Cole Johnson. Have a good night.